Welcome to the Business Spotlight Series. I'm Rick Plaskett, a certified business and leadership coach here in Columbus, Ohio. Today I have with me Brad Beach, and he is the owner, leader, and mind behind the company called Jobvious. And as my guest today, he is going to share with us the things that got him here, the things that make him joyful and happy in the world and the things that make him successful. So today we're going to talk about the business, some of his challenges, the best practices, and give you the opportunity to really see behind the curtain to build and operate a business. If this is your first time on the channel, you've heard the routine every place else. Please be sure to like it, subscribe, so that you can get notifications every time we drop a brand new video just like this one. Hey, Brad, welcome. And thank you for being here today. Listen, let's get started by helping the audience know who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business, because when you and I first talked and got this thing set up, I'll be honest, it took me a while to understand what Jobvious was all about. But once you explained it to me, it's a fascinating story. I'd like you to share that with the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I am a native Ohioan. Grew up in a very small farming town, about an hour southeast of Columbus, Ohio. Population of like 1,400 people. I quickly realized that I wanted more, out of life, and was anxious to get out of that little town existence. So when I turned 18, sprinted my way to Columbus, and went to Ohio State, graduated with a degree in economics. My first job, oddly, out of college was a agricultural commodities buyer for Archer Daniels Midland, and did that for about a year, and then left and took my first job in contingent labor recruiting in 1993, working for a global company called Robert Half International. That's where I kind of learned the ropes of recruiting, staffing, contingent labor as a whole. I worked there for 6.5 years, and uh, then I came to the conclusion that large corporate environments were not ideal for what I was hoping to accomplish. I couldn't really buy into the directive that would come down from the top without the explanation of why they do what they do. I always wanted to understand and do more. So I ended up leaving on a whim. It was I look back on it now, it was very irresponsible, but I had a disagreement with my then boss, quit on the spot after 6.5 years, and walked out. And then panicked, didn't know what I was going to do. And I started my business out of the bedroom in 1999, and quickly went back to the contacts that I had over the years. Formed a lot of new contacts. Ended up getting into a partnership, and that dissolved. And so I've been in the contingent labor world now for 30 plus years, 31 years. And it's been a roller coaster. Fought through a few, big recessions, the Great Recession, and learned a lot. Learned a whole lot from that experience. And now we are here, and forming Jobvious. My first company, Tailored Management, I grew from just myself to a global staffing company with offices in India and the Philippines and Costa Rica, in Europe, and I feel like I'm missing a location, but anyway, and of course headquartered in Columbus, Ohio. Quickly realized that the contingent labor world was broken. It's matured, challenges, and I knew that there had to be a better, newer, more innovative way of acquiring contingent labor, and that's where Jobvious comes in.
Super. It's your story. The second time I've heard it now, it's absolutely one of perseverance and amplified your beginning. I know that that wasn't the vision of the path that you were going to take. So, and that is a common story for so many people is they think they're going to go in one direction and life takes them in a completely different one. But again, being able to stay in that type of market for so long is absolutely a success story of perseverance. What sparked me was Jobvious.
Yeah,
Help the
yeah.
audience understand what that is because I think it's a fabulous, fresh look at that type of market. And I think that it would be best if you could tell it directly. What is Jobvious and what makes it unique?
Yeah, so traditionally, right, organizations acquire contingent labor, contractors, non-employee personnel, right, from firms like a Tailored Management, my legacy business, or an Adecco, or some of the larger names that you may
Mhm.
know. Most of the time, those requisitions are entered to a vendor management system that an organization has. Those recs then flow via API integrations with the various suppliers, where they upload those requisitions into their own platform, and then it's distributed to their recruiters. Recruiters go out, source candidates, and once they have viable candidates, they submit them to the client for review, right? The client reviews them, they interview them, and if they like them and feel that they're suitable, they will call the company like a Tailored Management or a Deco and say, make them an offer. And then that company becomes the employer of record. The problem is that the industry is matured. And when an industry matures, it becomes overcrowded. It becomes a bit stagnant. And what we have today is organizations that have overpopulated vendor pools, right? Which limits the opportunity. We have a lack of innovation because margins have been compressed to the point that most of the organizations that work to supply contingent labor or manage contingent labor have offshored all of their resources, right? So it's more of a facilitating kind of process for the MSPs, which is the managed service provider, which typically a company brings on site to manage contingent labor. They used to be consultative. They would sit on site with the client, make sure that everything was running efficiently, make sure that they were capitalizing on all the resources, managing the process, right? All of those people have gone offshore, so that consultative approach is gone. Vendors are struggling because what's happening is a company that has $100 million in spend annually, for example, will have 50 or 60 vendors. The challenge is that when a company has 100 million in spend, they likely have 300 requisitions, right, that go out every month. And their suppliers are contractually obligated to submit candidates to each of those openings. Now, you can do the math. If I have to submit 600 people a month, that is an army of recruiters, right? But all things being equal, with 50 vendors, I might, if I'm lucky, capture 2.5 million in spend. Okay.
Mhm.
It's not a profitable endeavor anymore. And when you talk to clients about it, unfortunately, large corporate politics, hierarchy, and a desire for a sense of comfort and status quo um, does not drive people to make changes, even when presented with the basic facts that the program is not going to be optimized in its current form. And to highlight it even more, I'll give you an example. I was talking to a client a couple weeks ago. It's a large client. They have $900 million in spend, okay, annually. They have 200 vendors, okay? and they are trying to make the program better. And I told them, and maybe I already shared this, I said to the client, uh, look, he's like, I have two people. I have the stakeholder, the end user, right? They want speed, efficiency, and quality personnel. Then we have the people that want to control costs. I've got to appeal to both. I said, well, you can cut costs very easy. He's like, how? I said, cut your vendor list in half, go to the ones you're retaining, and tell them you want a 4% rate cut, and they will be happy to do it. And the response was, well, we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I thought, oh, for Pete's sake. I mean, I'm not going to win this fight, right? So that's why we developed Jobvious. Jobvious, and the best way to describe it is kind of a merging of a LinkedIn and an Uber. And then, for example, if they had an offspring, it would be Jobvious, right? Jobvious is a internal incentive-based referral platform for organizations. It is free for them to use. It saves money. It increases retention, increases employee engagement. What happens is that an organization will deploy Jobvious as their internal referral platform. They will encourage their associates to join the platform and start building out a network of individuals, which is very, very simple. They can send emails to invite their friends, colleagues, acquaintances. There's a unique referral link that they can copy and text or paste in social media. Once their networks are built, requisitions from their employer, the client, populate into the system. Jobvious's matching algorithm then takes over and finds viable applicants. And once a match is made, it will notify the individual, which we call a network champion, right? That, hey, Brad, Rick is a match for this position, this project management position. Would you like to refer him? And if Rick is a active candidate, then I just go ahead and refer him. It goes through the system, populates for the client in their VMS tool, just like any other vendor, right? If Rick gets that job, and let's say it's a project manager job, paying $50 an hour, if Rick interviews and gets that job, Jobvious becomes the employer of record. But the good thing is that I, as the network champion that referred Rick, now will make $5 to $6 an hour for every hour Rick works throughout the life of the engagement. And it's direct deposited into my account every Friday. So it's my side gig and it's my passive income. To make it more easy to understand, we all have networks of people that we have built and nurtured throughout our life. What we do now is review that network hypothetically and put a dollar figure on it. We monetize the network that you have built, and it is now your business. The individuals that build out networks now have the opportunity to have their network matched to all of our clients, not just their employers, all of the jobs that our clients put into the system, not just the ones of their employer, if that makes sense. Does that help?
It does. It does. What I heard was, traditionally you had recruiters, and recruiters were trying to fill positions for their clients, the companies. Now, Jobvious creates a participant involved network. And that network may or may not include recruiters. It may or may not include current employees, but it gives
Correct.
the employee the ability of referring friends. And as you were sharing this time around, um, th this is going to amplify the gap between the companies that have a positive environment and culture and one that's not so positive and a culture, because the ones with a positive where people feel valued and feel loyalty, they're going to be active in Jobvious.
Yep.
Whereas somebody that is simply going there to earn a paycheck and they're not going to be looking at aggressively bringing others in. And so that's going to be a very quick, um, almost a quick measure of how positive of an environment a culture could be. And I think you also shared with me last time what this does is you were sharing last time if I was actively on Indeed or LinkedIn, my employer could go in and see that. But
Right.
in Jobvious, they cannot. So if I'm currently employed, but I'm curious, then Jobvious is for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we did that for a reason because we wanted to capture the enormous passive candidate marketplace. Right now, all recruiting firms, and this is the other challenge, um, we all go to the same place. All staffing
Hmm.
and recruiting firms go to the same place. Go to Indeed and ZipRecruiter um, to find candidates. So there's nothing unique from one firm to the next.
Right.
They're all tackling and pinging those active people. Jobvious accesses the other 85% of people, which are passive. And here's the great thing is, we've found that when individuals join, sometimes they're hesitant to upload a resume because they're like, I'm not really active in the market. I joined Jobvious because I wanted to build a network and earn passive income. Great. Well, we built an AI resume generator within Jobvious. So even if you don't have an up-to-date resume, you can use our AI generator and create one in a matter of 5 minutes. The key though is
Hmm.
if you don't have a resume in the system, we can't match you. Yes, I know that you're passive and you're not really interested in looking for a job, but if you create a resume and you upload it or create it within Jobvious, we will match you even though you're not looking. Wouldn't you want to know what is out there in the market? Wouldn't you want to know what people are willing to pay for your skills? Wouldn't you want to know if you are being paid what you are worth? Um, I would, and I suspect most people would. And nobody is going to know you are out there on Jobvious except for the people that you invite and the person that invited you. That's the only visibility that people have. No one else will know that you're even in the platform, um, which is purposeful.
Oh,
And
I think it's very unique, Brad.
Yep.
That is when you understand the environment that you have created for that work search marketplace, that's a unique superpower. I think it's brilliant. What,
it,
Brad, in that entire environment, what's your current role? What do you do inside the business?
oh boy, everything. Not everything, but yeah, I'm actually, I'm your standard entrepreneur. Um, I am a sales guy by heart, right? And that's where my skill set is. So
Okay.
building uh, a a platform, a software, a technical product was really a challenge for me. I'm everything that is not beneficial. I'm impatient. I'm a little demanding, and but I've learned an enormous amount. I've learned that building a platform is never finished. It's always evolving. So I oversee the strategy within the platform with consultation from other associates with Jobvious. I participate in marketing with the marketing team um, to give my own opinion, recommendations, thoughts. Um, I participate in engagement, trying to understand better understand the participant as well as the client. Because this is a innovative platform and there is nothing like it in existence, it's new to everybody. And that was a particular challenge that I didn't anticipate. And so that was a smack in the gut, that I didn't plan for. When people don't have something to reference to understand your service or product, there's a lot of uh, there's a lot of time that needs to go into digesting it and thinking about it. Like you yourself said, I had to really
Well,
process to understand it.
that's right. You have to educate them. What you've created is a market interruption type of technology,
Correct.
and it's something that the common person isn't familiar with. So I don't know what I don't know. So half of your sales is actually in educating me to understand not what you do, but what's the benefit to me. And if I've never seen it
Right.
before, I can't relate to that. I mean, I can remember story from long ago, for me anyhow, of the first copier machine having a very difficult time, even though they could bring the machine in, show exactly how fast they could make copies. People could not understand that because they were in the carbon paper world. And why would anybody want this
Right.
machine? Now you can't even find a piece of carbon paper anyplace. So, the challenge is not so much on the the value of what Jobvious brings, but it's the benefit to the people in the network, the benefit to the recipients of the contingent labor, and the benefit to those that now have a new job. And then you put all of that
Yeah.
together, there's clearly got to be a benefit for you, Brad.
Yeah. It's a win-win-win. And
Hmm.
I like to reference Uber simply because it kind of is it inspires me to for one reason. If you think back to the early days of Uber, right? Imagine someone talking to you 12 years ago, right, about the concept of Uber. A stranger is going to come and pick you up and then drive you where you want to go. And I don't know about you, but right, stranger danger probably was something that you
Hmm.
heard as a youth growing up, right? And anybody in the world would have heard that and thought, that is the dumbest idea I've ever heard. There's no way that will work. And why it inspires me is because that was a mountain of doubt that they probably had to overcome. And if they can do that, I can certainly get people on board with this because of all of the benefits that there is to the
Right.
client and to the people. And
You know,
when
to
you look at
use
the contingent labor, go ahead.
I was going to say, to use your Uber experience, the people that created Uber created the algorithms and the software to hook service providers with the service needers. But when the public came back and said stranger danger, now they had to create an entirely different department of how do I address people's fears. And it had nothing to do with the type of
Right,
car, the delivery, or the type of payment, but it was something that was completely different that had to be addressed. And they came through with, hey, this is Phil, he's your driver, this is the type of car he's in. And oh, by the way, at the end of this trip, you're going to be asked to give Phil a review. Phil stays
right,
employed when he gives you good service and you give him a 5 star. If he doesn't give you that good service, he won't be with Uber. So that was an entire new group that had to be infused into the original Uber idea to meet the customer's needs.
right.
Yeah.
Yep, that's absolutely true. And those are
So,
situations that, you know, yeah, this is an evolving. thing, right? This is an
Mhm.
evolving process because it's new that we're going to learn, we're going to have to ebb and flow. Um, but the contingent labor world, which many people don't understand or don't know about, is enormous. 4.5 out of 10 jobs in the United States are contingent. Last year, the United States alone spent $1.4 trillion in contingent labor. There were 18 million jobs filled in contingent labor in 2023. It's a gargantuan market and it is archaic. It's archaic.
And you're one man. So help me out with the role that you play, obvious. An average day, average week, average month, what percentage does it feel like you invest in that strategic thinking and planning and looking to the future versus the day-to-day fixing of your system and marketing and sales? What would be that breakdown?
Yeah, I would say 50% of my day is spent um, doing sales and demos, attending conferences. I would say that um, the other 25% is in strategy meetings, 25 to 30, and the remainder is doing various administrative duties that are required for the business, whether it's a board meeting or documents that are needed from legal, whatever it might be.
Mhm. The
Um,
largest piece of that was your sales and marketing. Would that be good, fair to say those are lumped together?
Correct. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
Sales is marketing, which I would say yes normally, but uh, we have a marketing team, and what they are responsible for is, ensuring that the language that we're using is the approved language. They are the creative souls behind the social media, the branding, anything that you would see online. As well as a variety of other things that it really is out of my wheelhouse. Sales is literally probably 50% of my time, doing outreach, educating people, and doing demos, a lot of demos. So
so that is a blend. Just my audience knows me. I look at marketing is filling your sales pipeline, having people know about you, know that you provide a service, and choose to then decide, can you fit their needs? Can you give them a benefit? So that is the marketing, is finding the next new John Doe to become a member of Jobvious Network. Sales is once that person, John Doe, calls you up, you're now in the the display, the discovery mode, and the sales mode to get them to say, yes, Brad, you can help us out. So that's it. Sounds to me what you have shared is you do both of those. You
yeah,
go to the conferences and conventions to be introduced to new people. And then when one of those people raises their hand and says, yes, I'm interested, now you go into the sales mode to get them to become your new customer. Is that fair?
precisely. Yeah. Um, you have your buyers of contingent labor, and then you have the rest of the world, right? And we want the rest of the world because we want all of those networks to be built. And so we can have more and more matches for our contingent labor requisitions. We need the requisitions because we want to make sure there's enough opportunity for everybody. One of the reasons that we go to a client, for example, and we ask them to deploy Jobvious as their internal referral tool for contingent labor is because we can instantaneously then go to all of their associates and enter them into Jobvious as participants. So it's a great way for us to build our participant base while we acquire
Mhm.
a client. And they're actually the best people probably to identify talent for you anyway. So it's a win-win.
Mhm. Brad, this is a Herculean, like I said, it's a market changing, market disruption type of concept. And I know that you shared with me that Tailored, your original company, had hundreds of employees all around the world. How many people are 100% dedicated to supporting you and working with you in Jobvious? How large is the Jobvious family?
The Jobvious family, fully dedicated to Jobvious, are probably maybe 15,
Okay.
probably somewhere in that ballpark.
Okay. Okay.
Um, but yes, I mean, the good thing, of course, is um, I get to use the resources of a much larger entity. Um,
Sure.
that is very helpful. It
Well, I
would
think
be
that's important for the audience to hear as well, is you have the resources of 300 plus employees, and yet you only have to focus on the direction, the motivation, and the leadership of 15 people and keep them focused on what you want Jobius to do.
correct. Yeah, but
Awesome.
it is a huge pivot. It's I'm learning a lot. It's very different. Never in a million years would I have thought that one day I would be building a platform. But you never know what is going to, you don't. Industries change, and this one is desperately in need of change.
Absolutely. And again, it's fascinating what you've done. Now, with that change, being a change agent and being a market disruptor, let's fast forward now. I like to see where I want to go and then backwards plan from it. You used Uber. I kind of look at Waze, the app on the phone that helps me
Yep.
understand where I am. Before I even start the car, I type in my destination and it backwards plans for me. So as you look forward, do you have a business plan that takes you to the next 3, 5 years? Where does Brad and Jovius end up 5 years from now?
That's a really good question. I do have a business plan. Um, I but I don't use it as my roadmap necessarily, because
Mhm.
in my experience, if I get too tied into that roadmap, it leaves me susceptible to disappointment. Um, it could prevent uh, making a good decision on veering off of that path if it's necessary. So
Mhm.
the point that I'm making is, yes, we do have a 5-year plan, um, but for me, and for me to operate the best that I can, I don't look too far down the road. Um, I just try to look as far enough as I have to. Um, and in this area, I can make impact.
Mhm.
When you start looking too far out, at least for me, um, it becomes a little bit of a distraction.
Okay.
And there's a lot of what ifs that when you get too far down the road, that to me is to me, honestly, it feels like a waste of time.
Okay.
To plan that far out when there are so many variables that can change that. So I like to stair
Hmm.
step, I guess. But my 5-year plan is to be profitable, be in the lower, I would say, 8-figure revenue range, um, somewhere in that ballpark. In that time frame, probably we will have raised a Series A round, possibly of funding, um,
Mhm.
and maybe looking down the road for a Series B.
Okay.
And what happens from there, I really couldn't tell you. What I do know is uh, it is hard for me to believe that we couldn't capture 5% of this huge market. I mean, 5% with something so revolutionary, and part of me thinks it could be more. That takes us to, a staggering amount of revenue. We're talking, 20, 30 billion dollars. Um, am I the guy to take us there? I don't know. Maybe. Um, I'm sure there are a lot of other people out there that have more experience in
Mhm.
raising capital and potentially going public and all of that. But you don't know.
So Brad, I'm curious. You have really sparked my curiosity there. Um, you have shared like 3 or 4 different goals, and you have also shared your view of roadmap is not for you.
Right.
So I'm curious, what is your approach to goal setting? I mean, a goal to me is something that needs to be shared, needs to be inspiring, so that those other 15 people can row the canoe in the direction you want it to go in, even though it may change directions down the
Right.
river. But what is your approach to goal setting?
We have goal setting. Um, when I talk about the roadmap, what I mean is, if doing detailed, planning for things 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Goal setting for me is on a quarterly basis. To me, that's
Okay.
still very much in the near term, right?
Hmm.
Because and things change within a quarter that we learn from that will change goals for the next quarter, and so on and so forth. Because of
Okay.
the environment we're in, we encounter challenges that we didn't know that were going to pop up, every month.
Hmm. How many goals do you set at a time?
Well, we set goals for everybody in the organization, uh,
Hmm.
quarterly goals. And we have a LMS system, learning management system, where those goals are recorded, where they document their progress. We talk about those things. They consult with me on challenges they're facing. I will make recommendations, maybe a goal changes, uh,
Hmm.
or maybe it's a different goal, based on circumstances. So we do goals, but those are more to me, and those are in the short term in a 90-day window, I guess.
Hmm. Now, are the individual goals in that 90-day window, are they uh, bundled up towards Jobvious common goals?
Yeah. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, they are.
Okay.
As an organization, we will talk about where we want to be, at the end of a quarter, at the end of the second quarter. And then we have to obviously go back to the individuals that are going to help us reach those goals, and detail out what it is that their individual contribution is going to impact, based on these goals. Maybe what their contribution was last quarter changes a little bit. Right now,
Hmm.
our goals are more about, um, growing our participant base, obviously acquiring clients, but growing our participant base, facing or dealing with the challenges of, how do we get people to populate their resume in the platform if they're passive, which we talked about, and that's why we built the AI resume generator. How do we get people more engaged and keep them engaged? How do we get people to invite people more frequently? And so we've built out, badges, which we just came up with, goals that now we're sharing with people. I came to the conclusion that I think that people need to be told what to do when they get into the platform. So what we do now is when they get in, we say, okay, the first step towards reaching your goals is to invite 35 people. And here's how you can do it. Once you get to 35 people, we know that that will equate to probably 20 individuals that are in your network. And that is enough to get you started and get matches. And we want them to be diversified. But we realize that there's a lot of things like individuals, when we talk to them about Jobvious, about getting in the platform, right? They'll get in. And when you ask them, well, how come you've only invited 2 people? Like, oh, I know a lot of people. I just don't think they're ideal for Jobvious. And we're like, okay,
Hmm.
hold on a second. People have a narrative, and we've got to better understand that so we
Right.
can put things in place to get rid of that false narrative. They obviously think there's an ideal profile. No, 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 there's not. Do you know mechanics? Do you know doctors? Do you know plumbers? Do you know financial analysts? All of them need to be in Jobvious. There are opportunities for all of them.
Brad, in sharing your vision for Jovius and the challenge that you have and the goal setting and working with your team, um, I know I can see it, but I'd really like for you to share with the audience what is your view of your leadership style? It's you're in
My
a unique environment, and I think that what you see when you look in the mirror and what you say you are, your leadership style, I think that's a fascinating story.
Yeah, my leadership style is I'm more of a servant leader. Um, I
Mhm.
I believe that my job as a leader is to ensure that the people that work for me um, have everything that they need uh, to create the success that they desire. And that's my primary responsibility, is to make sure that everybody is equipped with everything and anything they need to be successful. I am not a big hierarchy guy. I am, there's nothing special about me other than I happen to be the boss. Um, People can come up. I have an open door policy, talk to me whenever they want. And uh, I think that we're all equal. You know, that's just the way I operate. I listen to people. Uh, I take criticism from people and welcome it. Um, I tell people to use their voice. I am not a mind reader, and as many times as I say that, there's still people that don't want to use their voice when they talk to me with a criticism or a suggestion or what have you. But I've come to understand and live with that. But I keep thinking if I say it enough, people eventually are going to understand it's fine, it's comfortable.
Mhm.
I let people know that they should be bold, they should take risks. I welcome that. They don't need to ask my permission. I believe innovation comes from the bottom. It doesn't come from me. And if you don't empower people to take those risks and to spread their wings, you are not going to innovate. If you don't have a safe environment where people feel capable to do those things, they aren't going to do it. And so you've got to tell them that that's an expectation. Um, you're not here to do what I tell you. You have a job, yes, but I believe that you can probably find better ways of accomplishing this job than whatever I could tell you. So be creative.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brad. Listen, before we hit the last section of the interview here, what inside of Jovius are you most proud of today?
Inside of Jovius, I'm proud that we built this thing. It took us 2+ years. Um, I am proud that my instinct was right. I was very, I, we're building this. I keep thinking, God, I hope I'm not crazy. I hope this really is appealing and to the client base and the people, and it is. And it was a sigh of relief when we're doing demos, and every single one we do, people are, beside themselves, like, this is the most innovative thing that I've seen. And I've seen a lot of things from clients will say that. This is remarkable, this is innovative, this is game changing, all of these things. It's a sigh of relief, and to know that I yeah, I know the industry. I was right on this one.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Well, listen, we have certainly covered an awful lot of ground today in our conversation, and I thank you, Brad. For those of you who are watching, I highly encourage you to save this, come back to it a few times. Yeah, I know it took me several times to just understand the new way of approaching job searching through Jobvious, and I've had the pleasure of talking to Brad more than once now. So again, I invite you to come back because there's a lot of nuggets that have been shared today. As we wrap up, I want to hit you with what I call a rapid fire questions. These are just real quick, short answers. You ready, Brad?
Sure, hit me.
Super. What's the key to your success?
Persistence, grit.
Fabulous. If you had one advice to give to other business owners, what would that advice be?
Stick with it. You'll fall, get up. Persistence is the key. If you're doing the right thing, success will find you. I don't think there's some magic. There's no magic. It's hard work.
S-
That's what it boils down to.
Super. What's the one book or the one article that you have read recently that is most inspiring to you today?
Oh my gosh. I couldn't even answer that. I get a lot of my inspiration online,
Hmm.
by watching videos or inspirational talks, from a variety of people. I know for a while Simon Sinek was big in our office. We looked at that. Gary V.
Hmm.
Gary can be inspiring. He's kind of a no nonsense, no BS kind of guy. I think there's a blend. So yeah.
Okay, awesome. If you had one area to choose in your business that you could immediately improve and tomorrow it would be that much better, what would that one area of the business be?
Well, for Javis, it would be engagement, and uh, understanding precisely what we needed to do to drive better understanding, um, deeper engagement, and have people see the bigger picture, um, of what this means for their future. Um,
Awesome. Thank you. Hey, Brett, if someone's listening to this podcast today and they want to get in touch with you, what's your preferred method? How do they get in touch with you to learn more about Jobius and maybe becoming your next customer?
Yeah, it would be to email me. And it's just Brad at itsjobvious.com.
And that's a key part. For those of you watching, it's Jobvious, not Jobius. It's a completely different company that goes into the auto industry. I learned that myself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did too, a long time ago. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, listen, Brad, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your journey, your successes, your challenges, and your victories. I love your philosophy and how you've the persistence, I think, is exactly the one word that sums up your story, and it is very inspiring. And again, I want to thank you. The audience, I want to thank you for watching again. You know, you never know what might inspire you today. I hope that Brad's persistence and his story of having a vision that will be a pattern interrupter and a change agent is just truly inspiring. So again, thank you, Brad. Thank you, audience. Make it a great day. Bye for now.